Welcome to Kit Katastrophe. My name is Kit, and today we'll be taking a look at Transformers War for Cybertron Siege Voyager class SOUNDWAVE. This figure came out in 2019 as part of Wave 2 of the Voyager assortment. Much in the same vein as his original Generation 1 counterpart, Siege SOUNDWAVE transforms into a box that flies. Yeah, he could fly in tape deck mode in the comic or something. I've only read the first issue, don't at me. This thing really pushes the limits of my suspension of disbelief as to how this is in any way airworthy. Perhaps it's one of those slow-moving cargo freighters that keeps itself aloft using gravity manipulation or some stupid shit like that. What I'm trying to say is that it's passable. It's definitely not the worst alternate mode in Siege, for sure. It's pretty easy to tell exactly where everything goes to form the robot mode, which is a hallmark of lazy engineering. I do actually like the shape of it, however. It feels very Landspeeder-esque, which is not something I claim to be the first to say. Funnily enough, the front end of this vehicle mode seems to be lifted straight from one of those cheapo Shockwave figures, the one with no knees, remember? Tiny cockpit and everything. Of course, the engineering is somewhat changed, but it's funny to me. The boosters bolted onto the backside look a little slapdash considering they're only held on there by some frail gray joints, and they don't particularly flow well. At least they have some nice storage for his weapons, which can double as added boosters. One of the most surprising things about SOUNDWAVE here is just how much weathering he has. I think he might even have beaten off out Starscream in that regard. Look, he's simply caked in a thick patina of silvers and grays all along the topside, and his big screen at the back is coated with faux cracks and shatter effects. It's bonkers. Though having him in hand for this long kinda made me go blind to it. I know what SOUNDWAVE looks like, damn it. Finally, I want to mention that he has 3 landing skids, which can fold up, and away, though utilizing the middle one is prone to splitting the arms apart. Remember when I said that SOUNDWAVE's transformation goes exactly how you'd expect it to go? Well, imagine I said that again. This is an effortless conversion scheme, and by that, I mean no effort went into it. The only vaguely interesting thing that happens at all during this ride is how the front end of the freighter disappears into his calves, which is a nice touch. Other than that, it's just a standard affair of rotating everything about his big window chest. It's obvious this figure was designed with the robot mode in mind. This thing looks exactly how a SOUNDWAVE should. A big, beefy, boxy boombox boy. Oh wait, that's Blaster. There's really not much I can say about this robot mode since it's just so uninspired. I mean, I like it. It does its job, I guess. The boosters from vehicle mode look a lot better as a backpack in this mode. He's very stable despite his small standing base. If you look real closely, his crotch buttons kinda look like the face of a Kerbal wearing glasses and a hat. SOUNDWAVE's head sculpt is also really good, and features some impressive yellow light piping, which is my preferred SOUNDWAVE eye pigmentation. Speaking of sculpts, he has a finger! It's sculpted away from the rest of his fingers so he can stimulate his press the eject button on his shoulder. Pressing down on it releases the spring-loaded trap door on SOUNDWAVE's chest, which reveals a cavity in which you could fit one of SOUNDWAVE's pets, sold separately as a Micromaster pack, whose wave I have never once seen in my area. You can't fit a G1 tape in there either. I tried. But I can't begrudge this figure for not being able to do that, of course. Oh, and he can do this! SOUNDWAVE comes with 3 accessories, 2 of which are based on his weapons from the original G1 figure. First is the LR-HD Sonic Cannon, which sits happily in the crevice in SOUNDWAVE's shoulder. Next is the HIKEP Concussion Blaster, which extends and fits in SOUNDWAVE's hand. These 2 weapons have some nice red stripe detailing and are sculpted very nicely. Finally, the EMXT Blitz Charge Blaster, which, what's this doing here? It's another gun. Okay. The 3 can combine to form the USWHF Sonic Compression Mega Blaster, which fills me with supreme confidence as to where my taxpayer money is going. Alright, let's do this tango one more time. Siege SOUNDWAVE, very posable. Starting at the head, he has a ball joint that can wobble all around. It goes side to side, all the way around, up and down just a little bit, and it can waggle a little bit. So he can nod obediently, which is in character for Soundwave, unlike some other Decepticons I'd like to mention. And it can tilt side to side, so he can look at you inquisitively, as if he knows what you've done, where the bodies are, how many of them you killed, what he's going to do to you. The arms go outwards all the way, so he can T-pose, which can facilitate that lamppost mode I showed off earlier. And they have a forward swivel that goes all the way around, and it can go backwards if you're some kind of smartass who doesn't know how joints work. The biceps go all the way around on a simple swivel, and the elbows have a nice double bend that gets a very deep curl that goes nearly all the way. At the wrist, they can go in for transformation, though I don't really count that as a real joint. Something more arguable can be a possible ab crunch due to the transformation joints herein, but as you can see, it gets a little gappy if you disengage those joints. At the waist, he has a full swivel that goes all the way around, which is very nice. The hip skirts move up, which can facilitate a nice forward kick that goes about 90 degrees forward. That's okay. The legs can also go outwards more than 180 degrees, which is impressive, as that means he can get priority taint scrapage. The thighs have a nice swivel just above the knee, and those knees bend about 90 degrees, which is, alright. And finally, at the foot, they go forward and back just a little bit, as you can see, because there's a transformation joint. And they also have a nice, sort of subtle ankle pivot, which is pretty cool. While not as posable as Starscream, Soundwave is very posable in his own right, and there are very many different poses that you can achieve with him. Siege Soundwave, much like Siege Prowl, is very adequate. There is absolutely nothing about this figure that will blow you away. He's simply yet another slot filler on your shelf. A decent Voyager-class Soundwave. Still, as far as chug goes, this is probably the best bet. There are options for getting a classic microcassette player alt mode if you're one of those purists who eat their cereal with water. I got myself a G1 Soundwave not long before writing this script, and I think it's pretty cool to see how far we've come in terms of toy engineering. But golly gosh almighty, does it feel like we haven't progressed much in terms of creativity. I miss the Unicron trilogy. This has been Kit Katastrophe.
Transform and roll out!